Okay, we're going to do Chumash for Friday in the Chayinu. That is page 46. The sixth Aliyah, Pasuk Tezayin, verse 16. We're talking about the procedures for the holidays today, of the different offerings that were brought. And in the first month, in the 14th day of the month, Pesach Lashem, that is a Pesach offering before Hashem. Yud Zayin, verse 17, and on the 15th day of this month, it is to be a festival. Shivas Yamim, 7 days, matzis yeachel. You shall eat matzis. Yudches, the first day shall be designated for holiness. You must not do any work for livelihood. Remember, I think I mentioned this before. Mikra Kodesh, which we say in the Kiddush, they translate as a day designated for holiness. I think a better translation would be a proclamation of holiness, because the holidays follow the proclamation of the high court of the new month. Regardless, you can't do work on this holiday, on the first day of the Pesach. Yud Ches, Kom Lechas Avodah, you can't do any Lechas Avodah, livelihood work. We're talking even work that is necessary. You're going to lose money. Usually, for example, we said the intermediate days of the holiday, you're allowed to do work. It's not a free pass to all work you want to do, because you're supposed to obviously honor the intermediate day. But if it's a job where you're going to be docked pay, or you're going to lose profits, you're allowed to go do the work. But on the holiday, that's on intermediate.
Oh.
What?
I don't think so.
Wait a second. Intermediate.
Any work for a livelihood? No.
On the regular holiday, even if your boss says, I'm going to dock pay, you have to not work on
What
that
about
day.
Sukkot? No, you're talking about the 15th day. You're talking about Pesach, the first day of Pesach.
First day of Pesach, you can't do work.
Absolutely. Okay.
That's it.
But why were you saying that you can go do work? I mean, during
on the intermediate days. I'm
Olamoyed.
contrasting it.
Oh, you're talking about
Olamoyed, yes.
Okay.
Exactly, yeah. I'm just thinking, I'm trying to, being overly talkative, I might add extra words, but Rashi did bring it up, so he was contrasting it. The Torah is saying even work where you're going to lose money, which, by the way, you're allowed to do on Chol HaMoed, you can't do on the first day. Yud Tes. B'kraft Misha El Hashem, you shall offer a fire offering. Parim Revak Shnayim, 2 young bulls, Ayel Echad, and 1 ram, Shiva Chvasim Neshana, and 7 sheep in their first year. Timimi Yulachem, they shall all be perfect for you. Rashi. Parim is Keneged Avraham. Shnemer El Bakar Ratz Avraham. Avram ran to the cattle. Elim. So it's saying, why are you doing these type of animals? This is invoking the merit of the patriarchs. Parim is Keneged Avraham Shemer. To the Bakar Ratz Avram. To the cattle Avram ran. Elim Keneged Elish Yitzchak. The rams you bring on the holiday is corresponding to the ram of Yitzchak, right? The ram that was offered in his place by the binding of Isaac. Kvasim, you bring sheep also. That corresponds to Jacob, Shnemar, Baksavim, Hifrid Yaakov, because Yaakov was a sheep tycoon. The Yesod of Moshe Darshi, says, I saw this as Rashi in the Yesod, in, I guess, the work, some type of work of Rabbi Moshe Darshan, one of his early sources. All right, Chaf. Min Chasam says below Vashaman, and their meal offerings shall be with fine flour mixed with oil, Shloisha Esreinim, 3/10 of an ephah, lapar for each bull, Shnei Esreinim, and 2/10 of an ephah measure, la'ayil for a ram, Tasu you shall do. Chavalov, Isarein Tasa, and 1/10 of an ephah you shall do, Lakeves Echad. 1/10 of an ephah for a sheep, Lishivas Kvasim, for the 7 sheep. Chaf Beis Usir Chata Sechad, and 1 sin offering goat Lechab Alechem, to atone for you. Yeah, and then one more thing. Chav Gimel Milvad Eilas Habayker Asher Eilas Hatamin. Again, all of this offering amounts is sacrifices is besides the daily Ola burnt offering Tamid that is for the Eilas Hatamin Tasu. Still, you should do these. Ka'ele. Like these, Tasuliyim Shuas Yamim, you shall do for this all 7 days of the holiday of Pesach. Lechem Ishe Reach Nechech Hashem. You offer them as food, a fire offering, a pleasing aroma before Hashem. Alelos HaTamid, again, on top of the daily burnt offering, Yaseh, all these shall be done. V'niskoi, and with its libation. I'm trying to see. Let's see the way they translate it here. Yeah. Okay, Rashi, Ka'ela Tasuliyim. You have to do like these. What is it? Well, obviously, you do what it says. Why isn't like these do again? That you do with Pesach, you do it exactly like this, the same amount of animals every day. In contradistinction, contradistinction and contrasting, whatever. Contradistinction to Sukkot. Sukkot, you do it lowering, you do less, you start with a lot, and you go less and less. One interesting thing that was an obvious question for us, beginner Rashi students.
Not, Rabbi.
Beginner, like a little bit more than beginner. But you have a question. Why is Rashi talking earlier he brought a comment of why the bull and the ram and the sheep? Why? He said because it mirrors the patriarchs. Avram is represented by a bull because he brought a bull. Yitzchak was the ram, and Yaakov was a sheep tycoon. Sheep. Usually Rashi would bring this up the first time it comes around, and it came around yesterday. The similar type of animals, the bull, the ram, and the sheep, by the Rosh Chodesh offering. Yet he didn't comment on it. Why did he leave it? Why didn't he take his first opportunity to say, by the way, this nice formula is mirroring the avos, the patriarchs? So they bring down here the Be'er Basada. A Rashi super commentary says that it's known that the 3 holidays in general, and elsewhere we talk about that they mirror Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Bilam, I think it was talked. We said a few times already that Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot mirror the patriarchs. Avram, I believe, is Pesach. Yitzchak is Shavuos, I think. Maybe Yitzchak is Pesach, but Yaakov is definitely Sukkot. He made Sukkot. He actually made Sukkot. Anyways, that's why he didn't. Rashi could have said it by Rosh Chodesh, but it's more apropos to bring it when we're talking about the pilgrimages because it's even more layers of connection. Yeah. Chav Hey Vayemash, and on the 7th day, a proclamation of holiness shall be for you. You cannot do any work of livelihood. And on the day of the first ripening produce, when you offer min chadash l'Hashem, you offer a new meal offering to God on your festival of weeks. Continuing next page, that day, the day with all those signs, this Shavuos, the day of the new meal offering, the Bikurim, that is a proclamation of holiness to you. You can't do any work on that day, no work of even lively or Rashi. V'yema bikurim, the day of the first ripening produce. So interesting, the festival of Shavuos is called the time of the first fruits of the wheat harvest, on account of the offering of the 2 loaves of bread, which are the first of the wheat meal offerings that are brought from the new produce.
And these are not unleavened bread. These are chametz.
These are chametz. So just to, just to clarify, there's 2 special meal offerings that are brought. One is done on the second day of Pesach, known as the Omer offering, and that is from barley. And once they bring that, it permits all the new crop of grain to be consumed. So you have one little barley offering allows every farmer to enjoy and sell and use the new grain, the chadash. However, one thing is still not allowed. You cannot bring the sanctified meal offerings, right? What are the sanctified meal offerings? The minchas, the mincha offerings. You bring in the temple, right? Now you have to wait till after the 2 chametz loaves of wheat on Shavuos. Then you can use the new grain as well for the sanctified mincha usage.
Interesting. You have to wait?
What? You can't from Pesach Shavuos. You still have to do mincha stuff in the temple. You have to use the old crop of grain.
Just mincha stuff.
Mincha stuff only. It's interesting that it says b'yema bikurim. I'm gonna have to go back to my books a little better. Shavuos, I just learned, it was just in the Rambam, the 3 chapters yesterday, that the bikurim offering you give to the kohen, the first fruits, also starts Shavuos, but he doesn't say that. He says b'yema bikurim is a euphemism for, maybe it's the same thing. It's considered the first fruits of the wheat harvest, when you can, because it's only then you're allowed to use the wheat for the mincha, for the mincha offering. Shavuos, but it's also the time that is the time you bring the first fruits. But he doesn't say that. He says maybe that's the maybe the reason why you bring the first fruits then is because it already has this designation of the first wheat fruits. Maybe that's the connection. Anyway, I'm not sure.
I'm getting confused by the sin offering here.
Sin offering is one of the things. A goat.
Why? How do we know? Who knows that we sin? I mean, what sin are we bringing?
So we said yesterday that the sin offering was for anybody that lapsed and came into the temple or took part of sacred food unwittingly. It's like a very specific, it's not like sin of any sin. It's a particular sin.
I'm trying to differentiate these Musaf, Rosh Chodesh from the Musaf for the holidays. The Musaf Rosh Chodesh, we talk about that sin offering, and we ask for forgiveness, specifically in the Musaf service.
Yeah.
But I forgot that there's also this, and then I thought that was distinct from the holiday Musaf, that they don't ask for forgiveness in Musaf. They forgiveness.
Good point. I don't know. You do better than me. You're reading the translation of the davening, so I can't comment on that.
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Well, Rosh Chodesh, obviously, in the Musaf, Rosh Chodesh includes forgiveness of sin.
Okay.
And we discussed that about, and part of that is that passage for the sin offering. So I was thinking, okay, Rosh Chodesh has the sin offering, but the holidays don't. But I'm wrong. The holidays do have the sin offering. Because the Musaf service.
Do we make mention of it? You have to look.
Make mention of the sin, or
Could be not. Could be you're right. We could just look it up in the Siddur.
Right there.
And, let's see what it says in the Siddur. The Siddur, Musaf for the holiday, 340 something. So let's say on Pesach. It does quote at the very end of it, page 344 in the Siddur, you bring the accompanying minchas, right? The meal offerings and libations are as prescribed.
Right. Okay, that's just a description of the sacrifices. Okay.
In accordance with each one, as well as a he-goat for atonement.
Right.
It's very much in passing.
But I think it was also in the last part here on page 347, that part of the service. That one does not have.
It sounds to me, without really knowing what I'm talking about, but it seems that the goat offering, sin offering brought on Rosh Chodesh, has an extra concept behind it.
Yeah, well, that goes back to the moon.
The moon.
Service, yeah.
But it doesn't seem to make any more mention of it in.
It's not in the latter part of the Musaf. It's not in, the part on page 347 and 348.
Basically, there's a little bit more mention about the sin offering in the opening.
Yeah,
in 315.
Torah.
You've given, in quoting it in passing, they both quoted, but you've given Rosh Chodesh days to your people, a time of atonement for all their descendants, when they brought you offerings of goodwill and goats of sin offerings to atone for that. I mean, it seems to be it was a bigger emphasis on the goat sin offering than it was then. Maybe that's because there's more that cosmic idea of the moon and all that. I don't know. From reading it roughly, it seems to be it's the same. They both do the same thing.
Yeah, except that with the Hasienu and the 347, the last part of the Musaf does not. That's where the difference is.
1 second, just read this quickly.
I can't hear Mike. Can he speak louder, or can you put him on a mic?
He's just wondering in the Rosh Chodesh why there seems to be a little bit more about the. So if you look in the Kahas Chumash, just to summarize, it's going to have to beat this too much. The one young he-goat, which is first mentioned by Rosh Chodesh,
What page?
this is on page 1003, in verse 15 in the Kahas edition Chumash. It says, in addition to all the bull, ram, and sheep, you have to bring one young he-goat as a sin offering to God. Why? What's the he-goat? To atone for those who unwittingly entered the sanctuary while defiled, or ate consecrated foods while defiled, or ate consecrated foods that they were defiled. The goats offered up as additional offerings in the festivals serve the same purpose. See that? But this is the Uzdin edition of Chumash never fails. So it says the goats of the holidays, the same idea. The basic function of the he-goat sin offering is for people that lapsed in impurity and came to a sacred place or ate sacred food. That's it. That is the function of the he-goat. It's not for any sin. It's not for stealing.
Why we don't do it.
But he says, but the one offered on the first day of each month also atones for God's quote-unquote sins of the diminishment of the moon. So it's as we thought.
So this Musaf.
What pasuk are you on?
1003, verse 15.
So that would explain why
It's
not
more-
part of the Musaf service.
Why it's more mentioned and highlighted in the Rosh Chodesh Musaf.
It's
and
still there. It's still ongoing.
You're saying, right.
But the one, the history.
Well, they're both ongoing spiritually. We're trying to substitute the prayers for that.
us personally, personally.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always a correlation. You could say what the concept of impurity today would be. I don't know. It's hard to say. My point I'm saying is that, as we say, Baruch Shekivanti, when you think of something and it's somewhat aligned with with an authoritative source.
1004 or 1003? Okay,
This is 1003, verse 15. Anyways, okay, moving along. So, in other words, if you want to understand Rosh Chodesh, this is what we're piecing this together ourselves. This is what I call real learning. Real learning is you have a question and you follow the trail, because then you're like, you don't just guess. You actually see what is you clarify what the sources are and clarify. It would seem to be fair to say Rosh Chodesh is a day of more about atoning for not just the particular sin of defilement but this kind of the source of all sin, the diminishment of the moon, or
Toiling you're talking about. What does it say about God, the moon?
Mai means God.
What?
Here.
Okay.
All right, moving along.
I'm on 1003 and I don't see, where do I look for it?
Look in 1003 in the Kahat Chumash and just read verse 15, the entire paragraph. You'll see it. All right, moving along to page 40 in the Chayenu. You shall offer a burnt offering as a pleasing fragrance to God. 2 young bulls and 1 ram, 7 sheep. And their mixed meal offering shall be fine quality wheat flour mixed with oil. 3/10 of an ephah for each bull. 2/10 of an ephah for each ram. 1/10 of an ephah for each sheep. For all 7. Lamed, series of lechem, 1 young goat to be a atonement for you, as we said earlier. Lamed Aleph, Mavad Ilas HaTamid Mechasei Tasu. This is besides the Ola Satamid, the daily Ola Umin Chasam Metasu, and its meal offering. You have to do these Timimi Lechem Eskem. These offerings shall be perfect, unblemished, as well as their poured offerings. We continue with now Perek Chavtes, chapter 29, Pasuk Aleph. V'chodesh Hashvi, and the 7th month, Be'achad Lachidesh, of the first of the month. This is the 7th month from Pesach, because in the biblical calendar, Pesach is month 1. So 7th month from Pesach is Tishrei. Aleph Tishrei. Mikra Kodesh Yelachem shall be a proclamation of holiness to you. Kom lechas avodah lisasu, no work even for livelihood can you do. Yom Trua Yelachem is a day of Trua for you. The way they say the day of the wailing horn. Beis v'asisa ma'ilorech nechech l'Hashem. You shall then carry out the service of a burnt offering to be a pleasing aroma for Hashem, before Hashem. Par ben Bakr. What is the prescription? 1 bull, not 2. Yeah, because the others Pesach was 2. Here it's 1 bull, ayel echad, 1 ram, kivas minishon shivatim, and 7 sheep. I just noticing that for the first time. Okay, I skipped by the way Rashi Lamed Aleph. Timim yu lachem timim skam. We said the end of the Shavuos offerings. They got to be unblemished. Meaning, and they and their libations, the wine have to be perfect. The rabbis learned that wine that has developed mildew is not valid for poured offerings. It's got to be good wine. Okay, continuing, Pasuk Gimel on page 49 in the Chayinu, verse 3. Umin Chasam says, B'lo and their meal offerings shall be fine quality wheat flour mixed with oil. Shloisha sarin lapor, 3/10 of an eighth for the bull. Shnei esrem oil, and 2/10 of an eighth for the ram. Dalid, Bisarin Echad, 1/10 of an ephah for each sheep. Bisarin Echad, 1/10 of an ephah for each sheep. Lakeves Echad, Shivas Gvasim, for all 7 sheep. Hey, series of Echad, Lachatas, 1 young goat as a sin offering, Lachap Lechem, to atone for you. Vav, Milvad, this is besides Elos HaChodesh Min Chazah. This is besides, it's Rosh Chodesh today. Aleph Tishrei is besides Rosh Hashanah. It's Rosh Chodesh. So Elos HaTam Mincha. It's also a day. It's a daily Tamid. And their poured offerings like their mishpatam, as a pleasing fragrance to Yishal Hashem, a fire offering to God. So got to add the daily tamid, 2 sheep a day, I think it was, as well as whatever Rosh Chodesh was. It was the 2 bull, 1 ram, 7 sheep, and the goat offering. Plus, you got to do it. We just said Rosh Hashanah. There's no Rosh Hashanah in and of itself. There's no sin offering for that. It's just because Rosh Chodesh you have a sin offering, a goat sin offering. Okay. Zayin uve'asar l'chedesh hashviyah zeh, and on the 10th day of the 7th month, it should be a proclamation of holiness to you, and you shall afflict yourselves. You must not do any work. Okay, so we have very small variations for each holiday. Here we got, it's the 10th of the month, so this is Yom Kippur, and you got to afflict yourselves, afflict your souls. What does that mean? I don't know if it says it here or it's in Acharei. We know afflicting yourself means the fasting and the no food, drink, libation, and so on. No shoes, no leather shoes. You shall offer up a burnt offering to Hashem of pleasing fragrance of a bull, young bull, and one ram. Kivas meshon shiva, 7 sheep, 7 first yearly. I learned a word in yearling. A yearling is an animal in the first year. One of the side benefits is I'm going to become a very good Scrabble player after. I hope. Timi lachem.
You Mikhail.
It shall be perfect for you. Tess umin chasem and their meal offering shall be fine quality flour mixed with oil. Again, what's the ratios? 3/10 of an ephah for every bull. 2/10 of an ephah for a ram, small animal. Yud. Isaroin. I skipped vav in the Rashi. Milvad is chodesh. Musar chodesh should be in Rishon. Okay, I sort of said that anyways. Yud. Isaroin like it's called 1/10 of an ephah for one sheep. The shivas hakvas per sheep. The shivas hakvasim for the 7 sheep. Yud Aleph. Final pasuk. Sidis imechad lechatos. 1 young goat as a sin offering. Milvad chatas hakipurim. This is besides the atonement sin offering. Satamid and the daily oila you got to bring umin chasa and its meal offering. The niskehem you shall offer and their port offerings. Rashi, let's see. This is all besides. So what he's saying today, you got to bring an extra bull and a ram and 7 sheep, right? With whatever, plus the, flour, oil, wine accompaniments. That's all besides Chatas HaKippurim, which is in a different parsha. In Parshas Acharimais, where it says, the Seir Hanas V'Fnim Omer Acharimais. The young goat that is 2 goats, 1 is brought inside the sanctuary. Shagamucha, that 2 is a chatas. This is besides. So what's besides that special one, which is got a cross reference to the other parsha, to the full, manual what to do that day. Yom Kippur, and the regular burnt offering is besides, of course, the daily burnt offering. You got to do all these extra oilis. And finishing Rashi, v'niskehem, you got to bring them with all their port offerings. Musav al Musaf and Aksuvim. This refers back to the Musaf offerings that are written above. Yaltasu. To the implied, you shall carry out in this verse. Ulash and Siva, this is a commandment. What's it saying? Besides the Tamid, the daily one, and its mincha, you should do all of these plus their libations, meaning the libations going on the Musaf. So too, it says, V'niskehem, at the end of every, I struggle when I hear the Kriya. It's hard to remember. The words are some your Kriya for, particularly for, let's say this, on the holidays. This is a very repeated, we say a lot of this throughout the year this is the Kriya, part of the Kriya for Pesach, Shavuos, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. So it's very common. It's a very famous Kriya Satira part. When you hear the word V'nis, you hear a lot of the same words. Like if you don't know the details of Rashi, like V'niskeim, it seems repeating itself. But actually, here we have a little bit of a clue of it saying that no, that's referring grammatically on you got to bring the libations of all these bonus Musaf ones. This is besides the libations of Sukkot. Where there, which is the most confusing, it says v'niska, v'niskehem, unsacheha, which that is referring to the daily regular burnt offering, and it's not a lashon of a command. Because by Psukkos, the port offering is stated separately besides stating one of these terms. So then it's left to be repetitious somewhat, but going on the daily burnt offerings, libations.
Rabbi,
Yes.
what were you saying about Kriya and in the words and